Yo, call me a character the way I marry her. Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Game Space today. And only today, I am here with a very different kind of video. Not really different, I mean, still about Sonic, but just a more big discussion about Sonic as a character, right? What defines this character? What makes this character who he is, and the discussion around it. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because obviously, if a lot of you are on Twitter, social media and stuff, you knew that this weekend especially, there's a big conversation that went down that I was actually a part of, about Sonic's character, right? It ended up being not just about one media, just being talked about. It ended up being a big conversation point, heated argument around about Sonic as a character, what defines him, what makes him him, if he is even him in certain portrayals and stuff like that. So I thought we would just have a chill, fun discussion here, because you guys know me, right? I love talking, and I especially love talking about Sonic, right? But I do feel like, Twitter is really not the place to do it. I feel like I like doing it on streams and like doing it here where you can hear my tone, you can hear I'm talking about things, voicing things, and we can have a good discussion. I always love you guys in the comments because you guys always leave me like essays, and I always read them, and I hope you guys know I always read them, and you guys see that I like your comments and I answer them. So I'm always out here. So I thought we would just sit down and sort of talk about Sonic as a character, what defines him and everything through this. Here, let me go ahead and go on a different scene right here, right? Shout out to my boy Andrew Lewis. Everybody go watch Andrew Lewis. I just have this video here, Evolution of Sonic Games, that'll be playing on just so we have some gameplay. Again, shout out to Andrew. I'll just leave this up here. So let's talk about Sonic, right? A character we all very much know and love, right? In a lot of ways, and we all care about very, very deeply for a lot of different reasons. We all grew up with the character. We all love the character for different reasons, and we all define him, I think, in many different ways. Now, what is an objective statement about Sonic, right? What's something that is objective about the character? Well, let me see. So for example, right, I have this, right? This is what is considered the Sonic Bible. This is the Sonic Encyclopedia. And I was trying to look here for a description on Sonic. There's a description on like every character here, but it's actually hard to find a definite description on Sonic, right? The most I can find is on the first page, right? One of the first pages when it says new faces, and the description says the fastest thing alive, Sonic debuts with his signature spin jump and spin attack abilities. If he can get up enough speed, Sonic can roll through many walls and enemies. Sonic is usually laid back and cool, but he's driven to fight injustice, not in the name of the law, but in the ideal of freedom. That is within the Sonic Bible here, the Sonic Encyclopedia, that is the big trait about Sonic, and I think that is the core, right? He is laid back and cool, and he is driven to fight injustice, not in the name of the law, but in the ideal of freedom. And I think that's an important part to pay attention to and talk about as we get into this. Also, what the fuck is Sonic? I didn't even know this game existed. But yeah, so I think this is an important thing because, so basically the conversation started online because there were clips, as usual, about Sonic Prime going up, right? And Sonic Prime was, doing some dumb joke. Sonic, he was like, mimicking, he was like, I like Mr. Huggy, and he was just doing a shitty joke in the show. And people, were saying just like how, and this isn't the first time people said it. People always say it, how people really dislike Sonic Prime Sonic, right? How he's portrayed, how he talks, and they say like there's least favorite Sonic. Just like a lot of people, don't like movie Sonic, right? As well, because he is sort of played as this younger Sonic the Hedgehog who, instead of just being established, right, not someone who, how do I say this, right? He's not a character that necessarily evolves, right? He's a character that goes through some fights. He's a character that goes through, what the fuck is going on here? He's not a character that goes through, he's a character that goes through combat and battle and story moments, but who he is as a character is defined, right? So when a series, for example, like Sonic Prime, is about him learning, learning how to treat his friends better, right? Or, being more almost like a kid, it calls it to question how they're portraying the character. And not just that, especially because, you have interviews saying, well, this is canon, right? And then people like question mark, go like, well, how is this canon when this is not the way this character has always been portrayed to me, right? Or is portrayed to me. And even movie Sonic in a lot of ways. I know a lot of people don't like movie Sonic because he is not, the cool Sonic we know. He's one that is learning. He's one someone that's a little more goofy. He makes like movie references and stuff like that. Like he's a little bit different. And then, you know, there's the game Sonics that even act different because of the different writers, right? So you have like the Pontac writing style from the 2010s. So that's like Sonic Colors, Sonic Lost World, Sonic Forces, right? And then you have obviously the 2000s era, which I believe is internally within Sega. I'm not sure the exact writers, but you know, Shonen Sonic, as we like to call him, you know, Jason Griffith Sonic, where he is, you know, heroic, save the day, smile on my face, I will be there no matter what, I'm him, right? And that's a Sonic I actually adore. I think my still favorite portrayal of Sonic is, you know, Shonen Sonic. But at the same time, right, for me, right, if I were to define Sonic for me, I feel like this character description tells him really well. You know, Sonic is usually laid back and cool, but driven to fight injustice, not in the name of law, but ideal of freedom. You know, that's why I really love Sonic Frontiers so much, because, you know, he may be a little more calm in that game, right? Not much is going on, but he's cool, right? He's still cool. He has cool gestures, you know, he has cool commentary, you know, he's not slacking on his words, he's not like learning something, like he is him, he knows who he is. He's a very cool person, and you know, he makes his quick jabs in his comments, and obviously, you know, I'm looking at here, you know, the ideal of freedom. He is fighting for that. You know, he's trying to free obviously his friends. He's trying to save Sage, you know, even though she is working with Eggman, like he still has that ideal to me, right? So then I think about Sonic Prime Sonic, right? Because I really like Sonic Prime. You know, I've talked about that. I enjoy the show, but yeah, like I've agreed and I understand, right, that the fuck is going on here? I agree that he is a character in there that is more kiddie, right? He's more of a kid, just like he is in certain other series, right? And for example, right, a series of Sonic I don't really like at all, and I've been pretty open about this, is Sonic Boom. I know a lot of people love Sonic Boom, right? But I don't like that show at all. And the reason I don't like that show is because I feel like it goes against what Sonic is. You know, I don't think Sonic is cool in that show to me. I think he is laid back for sure, right? But in that show, he kind of plays like he is just a 30-year-old dad making fun. It's like a sitcom almost, you know? It's like a sitcom and Sonic is the skin over it, right? And so I think some people, though, they find the humor hilarious, and I find it funny too. Like it's not like I sit there, you know, crossed arms looking at funny Twitter clips and people put episodes out of context. But I just find the show isn't Sonic. You know, you don't have the action of Sonic, the highs of Sonic. Also, I have never played Sonic Unleashed Mobile. What the fuck? Can I get a copy of this somewhere? Yeah. So for me, right, in a lot of ways, like all I want is for Sonic to be cool. Now I know a lot of people do think, though, right, like that Sonic has to follow a philosophy, right? And that is his more caring, you know, carefree nature, more freedom aspect to his life, you know, one where it's not about him being, you know, a little bit more goofy or silly or kid friendly or this or that or learning, right? I think a big conversation point that came up, right, was that there's certain people that think Sonic shouldn't be learning anything, right? Sonic is him and his friends look up to him because he is him, right? And he does mean so much to people, and I kind of agree with that. You know, I kind of understand that yeah, like, yes, Sonic should, you know, have to deal with problems, right? But at the end of the day, he should always be him, right? Same thing with like a character like, I feel like Goku, right? I think a character like Goku is one that people love because he knows what he likes and he knows, you know, what he does and what he's good at, right? And he doesn't really change. And that's why, for example, a lot of people hate Dragon Ball Super Goku because he is dumbed down, right? He is more kid friendly there, where he's making dumber decisions. He's doing things Sonic normally wouldn't, right? And that's where I feel like you get a bit of a disconnect, right? Because you have people that I think, here's where a disconnect happens, right? I think there are people that are growing up with this character and understanding them differently than how they grew up. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. Damn, someone born in 2005, I was born in 96. I hate it here. Someone born in 2005 is now 18 years old, right? Which means if they grew up loving Sonic, they grew up with a very different Sonic. That most likely means what? If they started playing games at the age of like 3 or 4, right? They were playing stuff like Sonic Colors. They were playing stuff like Sonic Generations. They were playing stuff like Forces. Maybe Sonic 4, maybe Sonic Mania. Like that was their Sonic. And they watched Sonic Boom. That was like their childhood show. It was Sonic X wasn't playing on TV. You know, again, obviously there's some of those people, you know, can grow up and be more hardcore and end up going and playing the adventure games and loving this. But for a lot of people, what Sonic is what the 2010s were for them, you know? And I can't fault someone or be mad at somebody for thinking that Sonic, you know, is a more silly character who can, you know, go through character arcs and is a bit more of just a snarky dickhead, when that's what they grew up with. And I think that's on Sega, not on, you know, the player to have to not necessarily establish, but like educate themselves. And like, yeah, yes, you should be able to educate on yourself on a character, but at the end of the day, this is a form of entertainment. And if you are presented what is presented to you about that franchise or thing, right, then you're gonna go with the narrative of that's how the character is to you. You're gonna be like, I don't care what he used to do in the 90s, right? Like, this is my Sonic. He's him. Like, I love Sonic Lost World Sonic, right? Like, some people could love him there, you know, they love how he makes the dumb jokes at, you know, the Zeddies. I'm sure someone likes a Zeddy somewhere, you know, like, and I mean that seriously. Like, I'm sure there's someone out there that genuinely like thought Lost World was their childhood Sonic game, and so they have a big, you know, attachment towards it. Now, are there things, like I said, about Sonic that I feel like we can all agree, right? I feel like we can all, the number one thing across all medias, no matter what era, is Sonic being cool is the most important thing, right? I think him being cool and him being, you know, someone who is free-natured is a big deal, right? I remember actually this debate, oh god, Sonic Boom. I remember when this debate started last year when the IDW issue came out with Surge, where Sonic was giving her a second chance, right, at life, and being like, hey, you know, I believe people deserve second chances, you know, and I'm not just gonna destroy you. And Surge was questioning that, like, what the fuck, even though this person's caused a lot of damage and stuff, right? And it's weird because Sonic is in such a unique position where, like, he is a character that has a storyline, right? There's a storyline, there's a world and everything, but he's also still a mascot, right? So like, for example, I think Eggman as a whole, like, he should be like killed in the Sonic universe if you really thought about it. Like, what he has done, you know, to the society of Sonic the Hedgehog and that world, and you know, and everything, I feel like is more than warranted in that world to be gotten rid of, right? But because it's still like a kid-friendly series, right, and Eggman is still a very popular kid, they can't just be like, wow, you know what, this time we gotta get rid of him. Even though, again, I think as a narrative it makes sense to be like, damn, this guy has fucking split the earth into 7 parts. This guy has, you know, caused the metal virus arc in IW where, you know, fucking most of humanity was turned to zombies and people had to see their loved ones die, you know, and all this shit. And it's like I think in that sense, right, there's a lot of character evolutions and conversations that I feel like sometimes just cannot happen because this is still a series that is in the middle ground of having a story that takes itself seriously while still, you know, being a series that can be approached by everyone at all ages, right? And so, you know, when you have conversations about Boom Sonic and video game Sonic and movie Sonic and Prime Sonic and IDW Sonic, there's gonna be different writers involved, right? And I think in the same way Spider-Man, for example, as a character, has a lot of iterations, right? I think that applies to Sonic, but I think people don't want that. I think people don't mind Sonic being written by different people, but they want Sonic to be a certain kind of way, right? I gave this example that people got upset about, right, where I was saying, like, where someone was telling me about Batman, right, and how Ben Affleck Batman is the worst Batman because he kills. I was like, well, I disagree. I mean, I think a lot of people like that Batman. It's not my favorite Batman. My favorite Batman is what's called Christopher Nolan Batman. But you know, I know a lot of people that they really love, you know, movie, what's his name, Zack Snyder Batman. that, man, because he kills and he's gone through different shit, right? And obviously those movies aren't the most beloved, but there's people that like them, right? And I think that goes into subjectivity always, you know, of what you like, dislike, this, that. And I think obviously there's a multitude of conversations. On one hand, look, at the end of the day, right, it's a video game franchise, so it's not that deep, right? But at the same time, I understand that people want consistency. I think consistency is the big thing, right? Like, I understand, like, even me, I love movie Sonic, right? But do I want movie Sonic 3 for him to be, you know, a bit more of a teenager, have a bit more of his cocky attitude, you know, make a little more jokes that show he's in control and he's not just like, oh, how do I steer this car? Oh, we gotta get out of here, you know, like that kind of more scared Sonic, right? Whereas we've established in a lot of ways from original, like, it's weird, right? You think of like Sonic CD, right? That game alone gave Sonic so much, you know, attitude and strength just from that intro alone, you know. And then you get a game like Sonic Colors where he is more, you know, slapsticky, joking around because of who's writing it. And again, people can like it, people cannot like it, you know, it is what it is. But I think there definitely needs to be a conversation point about having consistency with the character. For me, like I said, like for me, my definition of Sonic, what will make Sonic okay is, like, for me, as long as he's cool, right, and he still fights for his friends, I think I'm cool with that, right? So for example, right, what the fuck is this game? So for example, when Sonic, well, oh god, I'm losing my head. When Sonic Prime came out, right, and Sonic Prime does what he does, right, I still think the fight scenes are really cool, right, and I think the different iterations of the characters are cool. Like, I think Pirate Knuckles is so awesome, right? I love, obviously, Nine is one of the best iterations of Tails. I don't think anyone denies that the iteration of characters there, but it's just Sonic, right? Sonic being like, oh, I fucked up, and people don't like that, right? Now, again, is that justifiable? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's weird to not like that, you know, Sonic is trying to figure it out and understand he fucked up and all this stuff. But it's also, you know, a show made for a different age bracket. But I understand, like, I can't just, you and I, you know, you can't just tell someone, hey, don't consume this, right? I do think, right, in my opinion, I think it's fair that something Sonic isn't for you, right? I think that's okay, but I understand that, like, you know, as someone who loves the series, by the way, shout out to my goat here again, Andrew Lewis, thank you so much for this video. I'm gonna play the evolution of Sonic again. Andrew, you are carrying my life right now. I just have this in the background again. Mega shout out to you for this, because I'm just ranting and I just have this on. But yeah, so I think, right, a big thing here is how many views does this have? 23K. This deserves like 50 million. Yeah, I think he's a character that I think we could all agree, regardless, right, is someone who is cool to people, right? And he's got his snarky attitude, he's got his iconic design, he's got his homies, he's got everything around him. And, you know, like, look at a game like Sonic Adventure 2, the way this opens. Look at Shadow, you know, Shadow, the way he's been written over the years is very different, you know, for better or worse, right? So I was just thinking about, like, how do you go forward with this, right? It's like, for me, I don't mind Sonic having different iterations, right? I don't know, there's the selfish part of me, and then there's the part of me where it's like, okay, like, the selfish part of me is like, I love when Sonic is the fucking GOAT. Like, yeah, do I like Sonic Prime? Hell yeah. Would I want Sonic to be video game Sonic? No, right? So obviously, when there's, you know, people being told that Sonic Prime is canon, I can understand where the frustration comes from. But I also, like, at the same time, I'm like, guys, like, Sonic Prime being canon just kind of comes off as like they're just trying to make it sound like it's canon. I mean, he never mentions any of his past journeys or anything. You know, I'm sure he's just some other version of Sonic somewhere. I mean, think about it. It's the only, our Sonic is the only one in there. I feel like there's something going on there. You know, and it's like, I feel like you can also tell, right? I think you can also tell when something is not the same. I mean, like, again, movie Sonic is very clearly not video game Sonic. Would I want him to be? Not necessarily. Would I be mad at it? No. I mean, as long as I got a cool story out of it, I wouldn't mind. But of course, obviously, I want to know what you guys think about this, because it's just, it is a fair and interesting topic, right? Because my first instinct was like, when I was talking about it online, it was just like, I think it's okay for the character, you know, to have growth as long as, you know, he still cares about his friends and he's doing cool shit. To me, that's Sonic, right? To me, Sonic is, hey, you care about your homies, you're doing really cool shit, and I'm okay with that. It's the same reason I love Dragon Ball, and honestly, it's the same reason I get criticized for loving Dragon Ball in a lot of ways. You know, I think I like Dragon Ball for, yeah, its characters, but maybe I am a little surface level. You know, maybe I just like when, hey, there's some cool fights, the characters have some cool dialogue moments, I get giddy, and that's really it, but, you know, and that's all it needs to be sometimes, right? And I know obviously like a lot of people used to get mad or still get mad about like even some people get mad about the existence of classic Sonic, right? Because they're like, what's the point? Why are we separating them? Why even do this? Why not just have modern Sonic in 2D games? And at the end of the day, you also have to remember, like, it's still a video game franchise making money and doing its own thing. And, you know, classic Sonic has branding, right? And branding means a lot to people, you know, for older people, especially, you know, they grew up with Sonic, and they like seeing classic Sonic, right? Or he has a specific gameplay style, right? But it's like, you know, for some people, Sonic Advance is the 2D Sonic they grew up with. So when they don't get games like that, it's like, it's weird. So I don't know, man. It's a whole situation. I thought it was a fun topic, though. I think it's a fun conversation point, absolutely. And I do think that I think there's definitely, I don't want to say there's a solution, right? I do want to say a few things, right? Like, one, at the end of the day, right? Please just don't ever bother anyone over what Sonic they like. You know, I think going to someone's post, right, and they're happy about a Sonic, and going and be like, oh man, like you're fucking crazy, or like, oh, Sonic fans are delusional, oh it's over, boys. You know, I don't think that's ever fair, because again, there's like, I have friends I disagree with. You know, one of my best friends, Johnny, you guys know him, if you guys watch my streams and stuff, like, he loves, you know, Sonic Boom Sonic, right? And I actively tell him I fucking hate that Sonic, right? And he knows that, right? But we still homies, we can still have that discussion, we can still have that argument, right? And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to disagree. I think it's okay to argue. I also don't like, by the way, I just want to say something too. If someone, like, I don't know what to tell you, not everybody talks an objective fact about a game, and not everyone shares the same feelings you do, right? Like, you know, I had a lot of people, for example, telling me like, just because you're a Sonic hype positivity guy doesn't mean you have to say this and that. I'm like, you're that, see, I don't like that, because that makes it sound like you're saying I have a character that I'm playing, you know, so I had to defend it. I'm like, no, I defend the parts of Sonic I like because I fucking love Sonic. Like, I love Sonic the character. It's cool. Yeah. Is it cool that Sega likes me and cares about me? Hell yeah. Do I give a shit about Sega at the end of the day? No. Sega can suck my dick. I mean, I swear in my videos, I don't give a shit, right? And again, they know I love them and all that stuff, but it's like, it's the point that, like, I have always just been a dick rider for Sonic, like the series. I really am. Like, I cannot deny it, right? The same way I am with Dragon Ball. You can ask any of my friends that I've ever known growing up. I've always been hella biased to the things I love, right? Now, granted, that doesn't give it immunity to having things I don't like. You know, I still don't. It's not like I like Sonic 06. I don't like Sonic 06. I don't like Sonic Boom. I don't like Sonic Lost World. I don't even like Sonic Heroes, and people fucking adore that game, right? So it's like, I'm not even immune to disliking certain things. You know, it's like when people are like, it's like when people are like, man, how can you be excited for Sonic GT when it's this, that? I'm like, bro, yeah, it sucks it's not on other devices, right? But I get to play it, so I'm happy, right? And I think just letting people be happy about what they like is important, but also on the flip side, letting people criticize is also okay. I mean, I don't think we would have a game like Sonic Frontiers if we didn't, you know, give Sega and Sonic Team shit for Sonic Forces, right? I don't think criticism should be abolished. I think criticism is very important, but I just think it's always important to have a healthy conversation, right? And sometimes, you know, sometimes we get heated. It's normal. You're not. There's no world where you're ever not gonna have an argument with somebody. You know, it happens. But just, you know, respecting people's opinions, having a good conversation about it, and all this stuff, I feel like is very important. And guys, I want to know what you guys think. Genuinely, let me know what you guys think. What are you excited for when it comes to Sonic? What do you think defines this character? What does he mean to you? Sorry if I ranted. I just want to talk about it. I love you guys. Peace out.